Hello, and welcome to Marie's World of Writing. Today, I have the exciting pleasure of interviewing the best-selling author, DC Gomez, who has kind of a lot, like a vast array of books that I'm going to let her tell you all about. What I have been reading is Death's Intern, which is the first in a series of books that she is putting out. Super fascinating, an amazing, diverse woman who I cannot wait to get on. And give me a second because this is obviously the weird, cumbersome purpose behind it all of getting someone online. So here we go. I am inviting. Now let's cross our fingers and hope that she gets my invite. And this is the weird, awkward space where I'm just going to say it's 1 o'clock in my world and I'm having a glass of wine. Thanks to the lovely women at Drinking with Authors, I've decided that all podcasts, recordings, etc. are way better with the enhancement of a beverage. So I'm drinking wine. DC Gomez has joined, so that is a positive. Let me try one more time to invite her properly in so that we can get the split screen and get going on our recording. I love Instagram Live. It is a beautiful thing, except for when it's not 100% on your phone. I live on my phone, but some people don't. And I mean, that's the world we live in, right? Like, oh man, it says she's unable. Let me see what I can do. Let me try again. Oh, here we go. Here's a request. I think we're going live. Come on. Yes. Okay, it worked.
If only I can rotate it. Let's see.
I've done it too.
No.
Let's go that way. I think this interview.
Okay. Let's see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
I can. Oh, that was fun. Let's do that again.
This is the way to start. Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to have you on. I've been engrossed in this all morning long. Been a busy week, and so finally I was like, dang it, and I'm halfway through. Like, I started this morning, I'm halfway through. I've read a lot of books lately. Holy, can I swear? Are you
Of
okay
course.
with that?
I'm paramilitary, trust me.
So good. I'm like blown away. I actually, my only criticism right now is like the back didn't like pull me in as much as I'm pulled into the book. Like I wish this got me as excited as I am right now. But I mean, whatever. My excitement will carry on. So tell me about yourself.
Let's see. Now that I've managed to get over my technical difficulties for the day and multitasking to the core, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so thrilled and I'm so blessed to be here with you. So, a little bit about me. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, so I come with this fabulous accent all from the beginning. I grew up in Salem, so hey, witches is my world because I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts. I'm prior military, so I'm a little hush-posh of everything. I'm a citizen of the world, so I've been around many places. So people and stories and just being connected is literally part of my world. So what else would you like to know?
That you're writing so much. Your diversity, the life, like you seem to have a lot of wisdom and it comes through in your writing. It seems like you have lived in a lot of places, like you've seen a lot of things. And that is so refreshing to see in writing. I like all of my authors that have that. I'm like, yes, this is what you want. When it comes through, like when you're a writer, there's like a message, there's some like a greater purpose. And for you, what is it? Like, what is that you're trying to achieve specifically? Like, say with this here, Death's Intern. What?
So So Death Enter has several different layers. When I first started writing, one of the biggest things I told the editor is I don't want to be preachy. I don't want to come across as preaching to anybody. I want to entertain you. And then if you give me permission and you let me go down that layer, then let me give you on a ride. So let me give you a tad bit of a social commentary if you allow that to happen. If not, I'm going to give you a wild ride and we're just going to have some fun. So you get a little bit of the social commentary when it comes to homelessness, and how we treat people from that perspective. And then it comes to, at the end of the day, I think the military in me is all about finding a family. How do we reach, and what is your definition of family? So it does have those underground themes if you're looking for them. If not, it's a wild ride with some adventures and some madness. So you get a little bit of all that.
You really do. And I love the way you say that because I think, what is your target audience with this book? What age?
So here's the part. So most people consider me a little bit of a YA. At the time that I was writing it, I have that disclaimer. I was a youth minister. So I was a youth minister in my church. I know. So one of my biggest thing is I didn't want my kids at the time to pick up this book and be like, oh my God, what did my youth minister wrote? So I didn't want to do that. So it's very PG in terms of like the language. It's very PG. There is no sex primarily because my heat level is going up as a writer, but not enough to give you like, you should not read this book in public, put it aside. So it's none of that, but it's very much anybody from the age, honestly, of 14 and higher. I've had grandparents reading, I have eighth graders reading it. It is designed to hit you at different levels in your life. And that's kind of what I wanted to give everybody.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to hear you say. Because for me, I would have picked this up when I was 14 and I would have seen witches and talking cats and I would have seen the whole fun world that you have created. And then me as an adult, I'm like, look at this little gem she dropped right here, and like these little tidbits of knowledge that now I'm ready to receive. But like, I want to pass this on to my 13-year-old son and be like, read this. And, I'm interested to hear what he's going to take away. So it's beautiful.
They're not good. Oh, thank you so much. They're not going to get it at every level. And I think that's the beautiful thing. It's almost like watching a Disney movie. Every single generation has something different that you're going to get. And that's the essence of writing at a level that is common to everybody. The language is easy for everybody. The meanings is going to change depending where you're at in your life and how you're going to take it and interpret it.
Absolutely. So you also do like devotionals, I see.
So
those.
Here's the interesting part because I have people who love my urban fantasy and are never going to pick up devotional. That's perfectly okay. Then I have people who love me, which is adorable, but will never read my urban fantasy. So my group is very diverse. So for the girl who writes about witches and demons to actually decide, let me write you some, Christian devotionals to help you like heal and move on was huge. It was really hard for me because I had to come to terms. Do I want to be known as a Christian writer, first of all? And then, am I qualified to write devotionals? And what are people going to say? So then I had to become extremely vulnerable because devotionals, it's all about as raw as you can get. And how do I get to connect you? And how do I help you heal? Because let's be honest, the Intern Diaries, I have a talking cat. Constantine is going to save me. Devotionals, I just open up my soul and letting you know you're not alone. And I think that's our beauty as writers is connecting with people and letting them know that you're not in this journey by yourself. You're not here by accident and that I can help you heal because I've been there and I came through this part and we can do this together.
Yes. I love that you stay like multifaceted that way because people can save themselves through honestly a hero's journey like this if they read deeply into it enough. And some people just want the devotional. Some people don't want the storyline, but you've really kind of like branched yourself out all over the place. And I'm really like mind blown on that one. So your background, you were in was it the Army proper? Like, okay. And how long did you serve?
So, and let me give you a little, you said background. I actually went to school for filmmaking. So, and I bought the whole commercial. I got out in 01, right before 9/11. I was in basic training when 9/11 happened. So yeah, so imagine shifting your entire world around. But I bought the commercial about like, you need to learn about people to write about people. So I'm like, where else are you going to go? Be all you can be. I was that kid. So I served for 4 years. I did a year in Iraq. I literally met all sorts of people. So they didn't lie. I was going to meet people. And I joke with my parents because, I have a dark sense of humor. If you can't figure that out in my books, I can't help you. So when I got deployed, the first time I get to call my parents, this emotional thing. And my mom is ready to cry. And I was like, Mom, they lie. And she's like, honey, what happened? I was like, I got promised some sandy beaches and some palm trees. Like, yeah, I got some palm trees and some sand. There's no beaches. And she goes like, really? Girl, what am I going to do with you? And that was like, that's her idea. She's like, if you're not cracking jokes, I know we have a problem. So I tell people I bleed green. I love what families do. Sometimes we think it's just the soldier, it's just the person in the military, but it's a family. It is truly a family who's committed to this and what they give in order to serve the country. Because at the end of the day, the sacrifices, and by the way, thank you, because you understand that side as a spouse of a serviceman. It is really hard to say, peace out, I'm going to go away for 12 months. You're a single mom. You're like, wait, what? So those to me is something that is hard to explain, and my heart goes out to them.
You have a sentence in here that says like denial is not just a river in Egypt. I've spent some time there. And I'm like you can say that. That's insane. Like there is so much behind that, and like that you've spent time talking to people, that you developed relationships with others that are in that same, but then you put yourself in that situation, not necessarily willingly, because getting deployed isn't like, but oh my God, that gives you a whole nother world to write about. You seem to have come out of it so amazing. But then you have your characters like Bob with his PTSD, who is a man that we all see. I mean, I live in San Diego. These people are, and it is just, it's mind blowing. And it's so important to put the humanity spin on it, because people really don't do the best job of getting. They see a behavior and they don't look into the minds of what created that behavior. And I think that that's a gift that you're gonna like be able to do. I see that in you.
I honestly wanted people to know there's different types of veterans. And what the news and what people are familiar is that sensationalization is the broken soldiers that want to come in home that can't carry a job. We do have that because it is very traumatic. The stress level is insane, but you still have the ones who learn how to cope. We might not always fit all the way and we got the triggers, but if as you follow this series, you find Bob coming out of this and you're going, oh my God, you just needed an explanation. You just needed somebody to tell you weren't crazy. You just needed something to help you focus. And sometimes as a veteran, it's really hard to connect with civilians because everybody has a judging. Everybody, I was at the time when people went in the military, it's like, you're going to go kill some babies. I was like, first of all, we didn't see any babies. I don't know what babies you guys are talking about. There was no babies where I was at. And what makes you think that we will ever do such a thing? So I wanted to give you an idea that there's a spectrum. Like everything in life is not one fits all. It's a little bit of all of it. So yes.
That, like what you said with the healing too. You just needed somebody to tell you you're not crazy. Like that is insane as far as healing goes, because so many people just sit there and they're like, if you can connect with one human being, if you can see yourself and all of the things that are going on inside of your brain in another person, then maybe it's not just me. And that is like the first step, I think, in healing for so many people. And you, yeah. So tell me about your writing journey, because you went for film, joined the Navy or Army, start writing.
So here's the story that, we all had those like horrible stories in our lives when we hit rock bottom. Mine has a little twist because my rock bottom is not what everybody considers rock bottom. I was living the American dream. Let me just be honest. I had the job, I had the house, we had the car, everything you wanted, yet I was miserable. I was seriously miserable because I wasn't living my God-given talent. I wasn't doing what I loved. I was so far removed from being creative that it's not even funny. Like you're just going, oh my God, girl, you didn't do anything good. And it got to the point that I finally hit that wall that it's just either something had to change or I was going to drive myself insane. We went through rounds of medication. So I understand people with depressions, the whole 9 yards. And I sat, it was like literally June, July, 5 years ago. I'm sitting in my spiritual director's house and I'm crying. I'm crying. And the idea of writing a book came out. And she's like, why don't you? And when people tell you that and you get 500 reasons why not, I'm like, well, because. And she's like, yeah. And everything I said, she literally counter. I was like, but you're supposed to be on my side, you know. I was in my pity party. I wanted her to feel sorry for me. And she
Yes.
just wasn't having, yeah. I'm like, why are you not feeling sorry? Like, I'm having a miserable day. So finally, because I'm an extremist, it was all or nothing. It was like, what's holding you back? And by the way, so I was like, okay, we're going to do this. The idea of Death's intern and why would Death had an intern has been playing in my mind for years. So I just kind of went with it. So because, once again, the extremist, I wanted this book to come out by Christmas because I was going to surprise my family. Woohoo! And unfortunately, in order to make that happen, there was a timeline to be due. So this book was no sleep, no eat, no friends, no nothing. The book happened. Here's the problem. Yeah, except that I wasn't ready for a book. I wasn't ready to tell people that I wrote a book. I live in the Bible Belt. Little girl is talking about demons and witches in your backyard.
No,
Ah,
don't fly. Where were you living? Were you in?
in Texarkana. I'm writing about Texarkana.
Oh, okay. So you were actually living there. Oh my gosh. So also my husband is from Texas. So I have a very, and I'm from the upper Midwest, Fargo, like super Bible belty. So I know exactly what you're.
Here's the funny part is like I look and I joke to everybody, I look like a drug dealer. Like here is my book and I will pass it. Like here's a little flyer and then I would take off because I don't want to talk about it. Like we cannot discuss this situation about this book. You might have some questions and I'm not ready. So it took a good 6 months and it took a really good friend of mine to finally say, girl, you need to get on Facebook. Because I wasn't even on Facebook. Like I had nothing. Like I was so not prepared for this. And then it became my sister-in-law and my dream team. So like the dedications for my brother and sister-in-law who put up with a lot of hours of this creation process. And she looked at me, she goes, do you think ISIS stories needs to be told? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, then tell the story. And I was like, okay. So we're going to do some sucking up and we're going to do this. So this is kind of, it was not enough to be a storyteller. It was, I needed to get out of my way. I needed to get out of my own self-consciousness and limiting beliefs and saying, are you going to do this or are we just going to hold on to these ideas holding me back?
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, so many times it is this whole idea that I've done all these things, like this is who I'm supposed to be. Everyone expects this. And you're breaking their perception of you. And you have to be fully committed. And for your sister to step in and like sort of give you permission in that way, saying, "Do you believe Isis's story deserves to be told." When somebody actually gives you permission, it's like, oh, all right, maybe I can do this. Because sometimes it really is like you're just battling, and it's just exhausting. But you have a gift. You were made to do this. You know, at the end of the day, forces were at work pushing you to do this.
More like dragging me. There was like, you know how people say, you know, God will come and tap you on the shoulders and you move on. He drags me through the coals. Like me, you talk about cursing. It takes an ass whooping. I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Wait. I'm not ready. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, let's do this. Okay. Here we are.
Where did these characters come to you from? Like I and her cat. Like, did they? Of them? Did you plot it all out, or was it a dream? What happened?
I wish I had those dreams because that would be amazing. I would be making millions. My characters are a little hush posh everybody. So for everybody who reads ISIS, they're like, I see you. And I was like, not my story. This is not an autobiography. I don't work for death. I don't have, granted, I will love her paycheck. That's amazing. Her fringe benefits are off the hook. I don't work for death. You did see her paycheck. I was like, how do I sign up for that job?
Clothing allowance. If I had $500 a week or a month for clothing, heck yeah.
Granted, once you read it, you realize you might need more money, girl. Like you guys go through a lot of stuff. They're a little bit of everybody. So Constantine, who has become my favorite and everybody's favorite, let's be honest. So I tell everybody, don't tell my mother. But at this point in time, she probably knows. So Constantine is a piece of my mom and a piece of my cat mashed into each other.
Oh, cute. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Here's the one thing. Only two creatures on these planets that boss me around are these two. So if you put them together, here's Constantine, attitude and all. I was like, oh yeah, this is my little evil dictator, and 15 pounds of solid floor all on your face. So that's Constantine.
I really love. I mean, the talking cat. I'm a cat person, like big cat person. So right away, you had me. I was like, yes, yes, this. Your characters are so believable and they're so multidimensional. I love Abuelita, and I've been big into Mexico lately. Like it's like a huge kick I mean, at least 3 times a week I'm somewhere. And so everything that you're describing, I'm getting hungry. I'm like, she does such a good job with the food. Like are you in Texarkana now, or are you in Houston?
No, I'm actually still in Texarkana, which is funny because as the series progressed, I think I have blown up. Every major building in the city has blown up at least twice. So most of my people, yeah, I know. So I am so blessed that the community embraced it and that they love it as much as I do. But
Yeah.
you said getting hungry. Let's be honest. We're working on audiobooks, and Kathleen goes, "How many times can you mention food?" I was like, "I don't mention food that much." She's like, "Girl, I'm hungry all the time I read your books." I was like, "Okay, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about food." But we all eat. We all make food, and having food with people we love a part of our lives. So when you add a little bit of that normal into a supernatural world, you believe it because why? People go and have lunch all the time. Just happen to have it with a talking cat. That's all. Little things like that.
It's such an it's a layer that that people take for granted, but it gives you so much because you start the excitement, the happy feelings that you get with that kind of food when that is food for you. Then you're reading that chapter and you're reading it, but all of a sudden you have this like warm feeling inside where you're like, I'm also eating comfort food. So
And you can connect. You understand what tacos feels like. You can understand like I might want some Mexican food. So eventually in my next life, I should open up a Mexican restaurant because I describe it amazingly according to everybody.
your menu would be so like it'd be hit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I mean, let me see here. There's so many things that I had like written down when I was reading this today. Like, oh, I want to talk about this. And then I get, oh, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, the circle stopped on your face, but how are you? Can you see me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay,
So can you
okay.
hear me?
I can hear you. I do have a blurry picture of you, so I'm guessing your connection is not like top notch. But if nothing else, our audio is pretty good. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm going with the fact that technology is just going to do what technology does.
it really does. I need to start just recording audio and test too, because for the most part, it's fun to have the conversations. Now, are you traditionally published? Who are you working with?
I've actually decided to go independent. So I'm an indie author and I love it with a passion. So yes, which makes it interesting because not only am I a writer, now I'm running a business and I'm literally communicating and creating these worlds and having to work with amazing authors that I get to pick whenever I feel like.
That is so amazing. I'm so proud of you. That's what I started doing actually was independent, and I started my own publishing company, and I was like, I'm going to put it out this way, and then it gets exhausting. But you found a formula for success. Obviously, you have an amazing team around you, and if you can make that work, that's the way to go. I mean, you'll be one of those like independent publishing success stories. So cool. Like who do you have one person that's like your go-to when it comes to writing this stuff that they're like see the first eye on it that's kind of like your writing partner coach person?
So I have several teams. I have literally a core of about 3 editors and 1 beta editor. So this year I literally added another proofer to my team. So I added 2 more proofers. So given my full development to add some breaks, so now we have more people on it. I have I think book too. So there's people that get to see it, and honestly, that I trust enough that when you give me feedback, is not going to destroy my soul, but move the story forward. So I'm super excited about that. So I have a team for the writing side, then I have a team that works specifically for like I have a new cover designer who you got to see the new cover that Christine did. That is amazing. So it's gorgeous. I was like, oh God, this is incredible. So I'm very, very blessed to have all these people in my life.
It is so cool. I like my writing, my number one writing person is probably one of my favorite people in the world. You know, that this person that you can send your first version off to and they sit with you and like give you that feedback. It's such a special dynamic and relationship and they have to trust them so much. And yeah, I love that you've got those people set up because they're so important to your core. Um, yeah. So is there specific or anything that you're like looking to plug or bring forward right now to your
So I am excited because we have done the huge book tour for Des Intern because a lot of people need to be introduced, specifically because I'm getting ready to launch 2 new series. So here in
okay.
March and April, you're going to get 2 series taking place in the Intern Diary universe. So that's kind of where we're doing this massive book launch. So one of our characters, Eric, yes, so sexy Eric is getting his own series. So he's introduced in the novella for the Hitman. So you're
Mhm.
going to get, yes, and once you go through this series, you find out this, say what?
That Officer Smith, does he turn into be
Yes,
okay?
yes. Oh, Mr. Sexy Pen, as somebody told me that I went ahead and changed in the next sentence as cranky butt. I was like, he's a little moody. It happens. So yes, so he has a brand new series coming out March 9th. And it's where my little steam level goes up is Eric. So you get a little bit glimpses of Eric being Eric. And then we're going to fast forward in the universe about 65 years. And I've got to do, which is super fun, a post-apocalyptic slash urban fantasy story.
Oh my.
So hope everybody's ready. So here's my pitch line because I love it. I have a super witch hanging out in Texas, of course, with her necromancer cat. So it is quirky, fun, exciting, full of action, and it's kind of what happens once again. And if the intern worlds and you get to introduce all the horsemen, if you have a plague that turns only humans into zombies. So book 2, Plague Unleashed, is all about zombies. So we're carrying this zombie theme all the way into the future. I introduce you to Elijah, who is sexy. What Isis lack in, feeling comfortable herself, Elijah, like she's just, I know I'm in charge. I know I'm amazing. So she has that confidence that resides and she doesn't care. When you're the most powerful witch around, she does not care. And she has a cat, like most witches, and he's a familiar, but who happens to have just as much magic, who happens to control zombies. So my whole entire purpose for this, I wanted to do, can I actually pull off a scene where there's zombies cutting the grass, and how would I do it? So that's where this book came about.
Oh my gosh. I love it. So we
Super fun.
start in the middle and you just like wrote this scene and then you're like, yeah, it is king, and then you went backwards and forwards.
It literally came to me as a scene. Like I had the vision, and this is the very first chapter. So I'm going to tell everybody how it starts. So you got a girl sitting in a bikini drinking sangrias in her backyard, and she yells across the yard, "Hey Elijah, your little pet should chop his head off." And you're going, okay. So here comes the cat running across, and he's freaking out. She's like, okay, it's not like you don't have tons of zombies to pick from. That was the scene. That was the entire vision that I have. It's like, what you have, and for writers, you have these weird visions of like stories, and you're going, I'm sorry, what are we doing here? Like, where am I going to put this anywhere? I sat on this story for a while. It got released in an anthology. So when I got ready to actually do it as a standalone, it literally clicked that I was like, I'm bringing this to the universe. I'm bringing this to my intern guys. And how am I going to play with Constantine? Because now you're going to have another powerful cat in his little playing ground. What is he going to do about it? So the story, that one is called Recruited. So you get a tease of what Elijah is getting ready to introduce. And the whole concept behind it is be careful because, curiosity killed the cat. For Elijah's, boredom can be deadly. This is what happens when you're bored. You get yourself into trouble.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So for anyone watching, does anyone have any questions? Because if you do, please feel free to like shoot them into this commentary and we will make sure those get addressed. There's so many worlds and so many things that you have going on. So like no shortage of, just your readers are yeah.
So we were talking about my readership. So I have to plug because this is the year. I feel like last year I didn't do much, so I need to compensate. So for anybody who doesn't read fantasy, and that's okay. I actually decided 3 years ago that I was going to write a contemporary romance because I went to a lot of romance. I know that was my goal. quite not romance, but it's definitely hilarious contemporary. So I have what I call my Cat Lady Special. It's book one. Book two is coming out in May. So the Cat Lady Special is a depressed cat lady turns arms dealer. So, so Miss Angela,
A pastor to this. Like, this is so.
this is the kind of book that everybody goes, well, what just happened? Like everybody believes it. Like, okay, one more time. So here's the story, and this is definitely for an adult crowd. Like kids are not gonna get this unless you've been through you falling in love, unless you've been through that part in your life that you have given everything for somebody and then been left. So this is the part that I went extremely raw and extremely vulnerable because it's talking about divorce. So I'm divorced, so I had to open up to places in my life that I wasn't ready. So it's a good thing we had ISIS, and it's a good thing Constantine had come before because I was not ready for Angela, when I started writing. So this is as raw as you're gonna get. It starts, I should have put a disclaimer. It does start in a suicide. She's thinking about killing herself. I know. Like everything I do goes kind of quirky, funny, very quickly. Because she's debating, it's like, do I use a gun? Do I use some pills? And she's talking to her cats. And finally she goes, I gotta go meet my mom for lunch because, if I don't, she might come and this could be bad. All the stories we tell in our heads when you hit those bottom places. And she's having these conversations with the cat and she looks at the cat's like, I'm gonna give you the pills and I'll take the gun. And the cats walk away. And she's like still having all these moments in her head, but what do you do when you hit rock bottom? What do you do when there's nothing left? So Angela has to answer this. And at the end of the day, what you find is Angela might not be willing to save herself. She might not do anything for herself. But when you question her family, oh, it's on. The things that she wouldn't do, the fights that she wouldn't have, she's going to do it for the people she loves. So this is a story of definitely empowerment, but it's also this story of sometimes you have to define family and where that line in the sand is and what you're not going to cross. So book two of Cat Ladies coming out, and we're going a little murder mystery. So we're going to start you and the whole Angela and the silver hair gang, as I call her mom's older friends that have joined this whole, we're going to go sell some guns too. So you got a group of older ladies selling guns and running around Texas causing trouble, have found a dead body. So they want to solve the mystery. So book two, they want to solve the mystery. And Angela keeps reminding them, saying, you do know we run an illegal gun shop. Like we cannot be involved in a murder case. Like you need to stop. So it is Angela struggles with her gang and trying to not get caught and go to jail.
Texas is the right playground for that. You can go like super far with arms in Texas and that's an amazing setting for all of those things.
We can go anywhere with this.
Well, you have so much going on. I am so excited for you. Does anyone else in here have other questions or anything pressing things that we need to get across before I let you get back to your day? I think, I'm waiting. I can't thank you enough for getting this little bit of a time with you. You truly you have done an amazing thing here, creating your own brand, and your writing it's so fluid. It's so easy to read. And I can't wait to see how you tackle the other genres. I mean, for me, I guess my only question is, so you said you went for film originally. What did you do for writing? Was writing, you actually went to formal writing classes, or is this I am learning it as I go?
So writing is one of the things that I went to an art school for film. So I went to NYU. And what most people don't understand, for us specifically, is they want to teach you everything about the craft, everything that comes to filmmaking. So character development was huge for us. So we did a lot of script writing. So a lot of my books, some people said I can visualize it. I'm like, oh, thank God. Because in my mind, it's almost like writing a film with a lot more details than you can possibly imagine. Our scripts are very bare bones because it's instructions for everybody who's reading it. So with the book world, I got to take the beautiful part about filmmaking and creating these scripts and then fleshing it out. So I got to create my own film on the page. So a lot of the tools and a lot of the things that I learned in school to create this universe is what I use to create my book. So if you read it, for everybody, kind of little cheat sheet, every chapter takes place in one location. It's literally like how you will see a scene. It's one location, one time frame, then we jump to the other. So their structure specifically almost very script-like,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
with the whole flesh of it.
Okay. I can totally see that. As I was reading this, I'm like, well, this lends itself very nicely to screenplay. And it really just has, you paint a scene. Yeah, I love how you do it. And then your dialogue still is beautiful. And of course, I'm like studying dialogue tags. And I'm always, whenever I'm reading someone's work, I'm like, well, how are they employing this? And what's, what angle are they using? And you like hit all of the notes. So it's beautiful. It's like, yeah, what you do, sarcasm and your little wit and the humor and the things that you add to it, it just spices it up so much.
Usually because you get to see it, like, Des enters Isis monologues, all of her internal thoughts, which, let's be honest, 90% of times we're talking to people and yet we have those monologues in our head. We have these conversations. It's everything we don't say out loud. It's the little things that you're going, yeah, she probably should not have worn that. And then we're like, hi. So you get to see a little bit of that rawness behind that goes. And urban fantasy is so much fun because it's present day with a dash of magic into it and getting you into this universe that you can say a lot of the people in my town, like, I love this book because I know exactly where everything is at. I was like, that's fun. And then you have everybody else who's not from Texarkana who's like, I love this story because I love urban fantasy. So everybody gets a little taste and everybody gets a little happy. So it works best.
Yeah. I'm like, we're looking, my husband and I are texting back and forth, like pictures of Texarkana. I love your opening paragraph where you describe how it's like in the center of everything and yet the center of nothing, or like near nothing. I'm like, yeah, well, you know how that so much.
It's our joke. It's our joke. Every child in Texarkana can't wait to leave. Everybody says nothing happened. So when you're writing urban fantasy, just take what's common. Take exactly what's happening in your surroundings and just spin it. Because at the end of the day, you can't take those comments out of the real world. So everybody feels like nothing happens in Texarkana. Let's make a joke out of it. We're in the middle of nowhere, but everybody passes by us. You got movies making reference like Zombieland says, we're going to go to Texarkana. I was like, nobody knows where we're at. But you might pass this. And then we're like, that's Texarkana.
When the ordinary becomes the extraordinary, I think that is truly when, like, our minds just like find everything magical. And we should do that in life. Like, that should just like makes everyone happy. So yeah.
It makes us all smile because we're truly looking at our days very differently. The one thing you talk about, like, ordinary and magical. So one of the scenes in the book, Des Intern, takes place around the courthouse. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler. Happens to be a federal building because the FBI in Texarkana happens to be in that building. So because I was doing research, so I'm driving around Texarkana, and I decided that I needed to take pictures of the courthouse on a Sunday. And I'm driving around the building over and over, and it finally hit me. It's like, you're going to go to jail for taking pictures of a federal building where the FBI hangs out. How about you just go find Google Earth and stop taking pictures? So lessons learned, I stopped driving around federal buildings. I was like, this is not good for my health. I might not make it.
Oh, but it's those fun little things. I love the little things that you do. I have a reason to be taking this photo right now because it's for research. Everything you do is all of a sudden research. So it's like, it has purpose. So you can do anything.
That's what I'm hoping they will believe, but I have a strange feeling I will have lots of explanations to do. They're like, really, girl? It's like, okay, listen, Google Earth, so much safer.
At least you figured it out before it became.
Before I went to jail.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, man, you're crazy. Here's to you. Obviously, you're in the middle of the day doing stuff, and I was like, this 1 o'clock interview. Have you met with Erica Drinking with the Authors podcast at all yet? Has Stephanie hooked you up with this one?
I have not. That sounds like fun. I'm all about drinking with people. Like, where are we at? What do we do this?
They switched my whole format up. Thanks to them, I now think that a glass of wine is required for all interviews. So I'll text Stephanie and be like, hey, she needs this because just wait. You'll be talking about talking cats and all other new lights.
I love it.
Yes. It's great. It's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for this time. Once again, I wish you all of the greatest of luck and success and everything in your career. Obviously, you're crushing it. But one more time, in summary, how can your readers and everyone find all of this stuff? What's your best, like, central?
Easiest thing, if you're not interested in finding me on Amazon, because it's DC Gomez and Amazon, you can find me at the author DC Gomez, or you can check my website. It has a link to all of it. It has a links to Facebook. It is dcgomez-author.com. Easy peasy. Find me on Instagram. You can get a link to it anywhere you want. So I'm here. And if people have questions, I love interacting with readers. I love interacting with people who have questions and want to know more about it. The process is amazing. So I'm here.
I think that is something readers, I mean, especially as an independent author, reach out, say thank you, say I loved your book. That is something that will literally like make a person's month. And I hope, yeah, readers, please.
Absolutely.
Talk to her, tell her, yeah, do it. It's the most amazing thing. So, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and have an amazing rest of your day.
You too, sweetie. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Take care.